Sir, of course, the idea here was that we were going to get a ceasefire. The talks were continuing, but then, of course, on Saturday, we saw those pictures, terrible pictures in Bucha. And I guess the obvious question now is, where do you go from here?
Well, definitely after all the world has seen these acts of brutality, acts of violence, acts of genocide against Ukrainian people, not only in Bucha, by the way, but in some neighboring cities like the cities of Irpin, of Kostomin, and in Borodyanka, the world has changed, I think. The world will never tolerate what Russian armed forces, commanded by Russian politicians, did in Ukraine. They simply hate Ukrainians, and they want those Ukrainians, as well as Ukrainian cities, to be devastated, to be wiped out from the ground, from the world, which will never happen. So now currently, the main task for all the international community is to bring those responsible for these atrocities to immediate international justice. That's why my president has already announced the creation of a special task force in Ukraine, who will be dealing and already dealing with fixing those hard war crimes, bringing them to relevant institutions, and supervising the process of bringing those responsible to justice. In this regard, we need the support of international community, and we already turn to our partners worldwide to help us with the relevant experts, with the relevant experience, with the relevant people, lawyers, human rights protectors who know how to deal with such cases. Because yes, this is not the first war in the world which has the atrocities of that kind, but this is probably the hardest and the most difficult atrocities in the 21st century, in the middle of Europe, near the capital of Ukraine. And definitely those who are responsible, those animals, those beasts, should be brought to punishment and justice.
And of course, you say that the Russia, based on what you just told me, this is Russia that hates everything that is Ukraine and everything that Ukraine stands for. You yourself, you say these people are animals. So I wonder, at this point, is there even a diplomatic way forward? Because I can imagine that at this point, it's very difficult to sit on a table with the Russian counterparts and talk about a diplomatic solution to this. Can you still have these talks?
Well, when my president was asked about this, his reaction was, it's really hard to speak after that atrocities with any Russia official political representative. You have to understand another possible, unfortunately, examples of atrocities can be revealed later when we start to liberate some cities which are still besieged. But my president told that we have to continue these diplomatic talks. Ukrainian delegation has to talk with the Russian official representative because we want to bring peace to my country. Secondly, we want to establish conditions when those atrocities and those barbaric acts, when those aggression should never happen, neither against Ukraine nor against any other European country. Here.
And sir, of course, as you say, these atrocities cannot happen again, but you also mentioned the reality is there's places like Mariupol which are already being sieged. Also, by the way, I want to get your clarification. Is the city still in your control? Because there has been rumors online that perhaps Russia's about to take it. And also, when you look at the Donbass, how are you preparing for that? Because there's a lot of concerns that Russia is readying another attack.
That's true. They are regrouping their forces, so partially withdrawing them from territories of northern Ukraine, around Kyiv, around Chernihiv, around Sumy. They are regrouping them and trying to insert even more troops to the eastern part of Ukraine, around Kharkiv, and definitely Donbass. And yes, we absolutely understand that there might be a severe fight over Donbass because they want to conquer all the Donbass, not even the occupied part, which they occupied since 2014, but all the rest of Donbass. And that's where they will concentrate their efforts. They probably need some symbolic victories like, occupation of Kharkiv, for instance. That also can be a case. As far as the Mariupol city is concerned, part of the city is controlled by the armed forces of Russia. This is mainly the left bank. And the atrocities are also going on there because the people are not only killed by missiles, like it was in the drama theater or in the maternity hospital, but they are deliberately, forcefully deported to Russia. Children, women, civilians.
And And of course, sirs, I have to ask you, it's very clear now that Ukraine is going to fight this until the end. It's very clear when you look at the reaction from the people, when you look at the words coming out of your government, you're not going to surrender. But do you have the capabilities and are you ready to really fight Russia in the east to make sure that perhaps they don't take Donbass?
Definitely, we have. You have to understand that we're also waging a warfare for all of you 41 day. Definitely, there is a simple human reaction when you have the 41 day of war, which is not ending for any single minute. But as far as the Mariupol city is concerned, the eastern part of Ukraine, Donbass, yes, these territories are Ukrainian. They will be under Ukrainian control and they will be totally Ukrainian. Yes, we need some time, for instance, uh, to take back Mariupol. My president is in constant connection with the military personnel, with the military commanders fighting there. So yes, it will be definitely Ukrainian territory. No compromise, no ultimatums of Russian Federation. This was,
And
is, and
sir, I
will
have
be
to ask
Ukrainian
you,
territory.
and I have to ask you also a final question before we hear from your president in the United Nations. This meeting between your president and Vladimir Putin, many believe it will have to finally happen, and it's the only way to end this war. But I wonder, given everything that we've seen, given that you're ready again for battle in the East, are we going to see this meeting happen ever?
If you asked me several days ago, I would definitely say yes, it will happen. Currently, I don't even know what to ask to you. Only president himself knows the answer, and last time I heard from him is that it will be difficult for him to have such kind of meeting.